Be faithful to the Scriptures. Be true to the Scriptures. Be devoted to the Scriptures, yet let God lead our lives by His Word, and we will never go astray if we go by His Word, and the Spirit is in the middle of His Word, and so it is not being led by the Word or led by the Spirit. To be led by the Spirit is truly to be led by the Word. They can't be separated. The Spirit wasn't poured out to take the place of the Scriptures. The Spirit was poured out so that we could finally grasp the Scriptures. So we could finally obey them, so that we could finally live in the midst of them. I truly believe this. God fellowships with us through His Spirit, but we fellowship with God through His Word. I believe that's where the Spirit does the work of connecting God's heart to ours, to glorifying Jesus and transforming us. Last week in a men's Bible study that a few of us here are a part of, a newer friend of mine named Will Gant asked this question in the middle of the study. He says, "Why do we study?" And then from that, he shared that when he was a young believer, he had a gentleman that was discipling him, and that gentleman asked him that question. And Will said that he said, I study to know, I study to build my character, I study to learn, I study to grow, I study for this and that, and all these other things. And then so his discipler took him to Ezra chapter 7, verse 10, which says this: "For Ezra had set his heart to study the law of the Lord and to do it, and to teach His statutes and rules in Israel." The reason we study is to know God and to obey God. That's the reason. We got a lot of teachers and preachers in the room. If you study to preach, you might get a good sermon, but you will be held accountable for what you're not actually obeying from the sermon that you just preached. If our lives of study are about teaching and preaching, then we are wrong. We are off. And I can say this confidently because I've seen God do it in my own life. You will also lose your opportunity. Because if we are not studying to know Him and to obey Him, the teaching part will fall short. Because He desires teachers that live what they're teaching. So the secondary purpose, Ezra, I set apart to study, to obey the law of the Lord, and to teach. The secondary is to teach others that they would obey and love God in obedience. See, we love God through our love for His Word, and we teach others to love God through the way we love His Word. It's not just our sermons and our lessons and our text messages and the things we do, which are all wonderful things, but our example of obeying the Word of God is the thing that endures, and it's also the thing that God judges. That's what it means when it says that He will judge teachers more harshly. They will be obeyed, they will be judged not only on what they said, but the way they obeyed what they said.